Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. So today I am currently in the middle of editing last week's vlog, as I usually am when I start my vlog on a Monday and it's daylight. I'm still currently reading Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. Oh, it matches. I'm purple. I really want to get this done by the end of the month. I have 240-ish pages left. I've just read a little bit while I took a break for lunch. I haven't taken a full hour today because I woke up late, which I hate, but we just need to deal with it. So if you missed the end of last week's vlog, this is an adult epic high fantasy. We have around 3 or 4 main characters in here, but there are also more perspectives than that. We have a lot of very separate plot threads in here. Everybody's kind of working to their own agendas, but a lot of the plot does revolve around these 2 artifacts, which are the Dagger of Eve and the Amulet of Eve, which are possessed by 2 different heirs to 2 different kingdoms. One of the other main characters wants one of them so that he can save his dying mother, and the 2 characters who are currently the guardians of these artifacts are in love with each other but can't be together because they are guardians. We also have a main character that is from a different land that has come over to the main landmass, because it's more than one country, where this story is taking place because she has had a vision that something is going to happen that will start a war. So yeah, I still cannot get a grip on the overarching plot of this, but I am really loving this. The writing is not the best. Like I mentioned last week, there are instances where the wrong word has been used in place of the word that should be used, which is a little bit jarring. I'm also finding that there are also instances where this is like a high fantasy world, so like a assumed medieval setting, but there are things in here that refer to modern life that aren't really explained. For example, there is a hospital in here and it is referred to as a hospital, and I've never encountered a hospital in a high fantasy before. So there's just things like that, but I really love the story. I really love the characters. I'm finding this incredibly compelling. It is not dense at all. So my overall thoughts on this is that it is good. It could be better, but I'm very much enjoying it. So I need to finish this by tomorrow night. I have, how many pages did I say? 240. So 120 pages today, 120 pages together. I'm feeling optimistic that we can do this. And then the Owl's Magical Read-a-thon is going to start, and yeah, I have no idea what book I'm going to start with. Actually, I think I do know what book I'm going to start with, but I need to kind of sort out a battle plan. I want to treat the Magical Read-a-thon as a marathon as opposed to a race. So I don't want to do what I normally do and cram all of my smallest books and fastest paced books into the beginning of the month. I need to kind of be staggering it out to keep up the pace, so I'm going like fast paced, slow paced, fast paced, slow paced. But I don't know, because I have my Bookopoly TBR to contend with. I have the owls that I need for my chosen career to contend with, which there's only 1 book that is in my Owl's Magical Read-a-thon TBR that is also in the 7 Bookopoly books that I need to read. And then outside of my 7 book Bookopoly TBR that I need to read, there are 2 books that I need to read and review this month, and 1 book that is a group book for a read along. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's just gonna be a hot mess. I think I'm just gonna try and pick up what I'm feeling at the time. I don't know whether to start with the review requests because I really need to read those. I don't know whether to start with the group books, although I kind of don't want to, because by the time we get to the live shows I won't really know what my full thoughts are, etc. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, this week I'm excited. I'm excited to finish this. 1, because I'm really loving it. I'm kind of not excited because there's no release date for the 2nd book, but I'm excited because I'm enjoying it. And then I'm excited to start my Owl's Magical Read-a-thon TBR. So I do have to go out. The UK is still in lockdown. We have exactly 2 more weeks left of lockdown. This is only the last day of the first week. I'm handling lockdown okay at the moment, but I do still have to go out at least twice a week anyway to go into the office. And I'm trying to coincide my shopping with going into work so that I am only going out twice a week instead of going out almost every day, which completely negates what we're trying to do here. So I do need to go to the shop. I do need to pick up some essentials, and then when I get back I will have candle orders to pack, and I'm also doing a live stream on Twitch tonight. So those are my plans for the day. I hope you guys are doing well as well when you're watching this 1 week in the future, but I'm gonna go finish editing last week's vlog, and I'll check in with you guys probably, unless anything happens, when I have finished Peace and Turmoil. I'm covered in paint, don't mind the paint. I've been in the office today. I've just got back. It's like 4 p.m. I think. I have no idea what I've done with my phone, even though I had it like a second ago. But I am currently on page 666 of Peace and Turmoil, which means I only have 50 pages left, which means that I'm going to finish this today, and not only today, I'm going to finish it now. So like I said, it's like 4ish. I reckon it'll take me less than an hour to finish this. The last 50 or so pages I've read have been pretty fast paced, and we are coming to the end of the book. So that's it. The 31st of March, the last day of the month, not even midnight when it normally is, like halfway through the day, and I'm going to finish the last book on my March TBR. I am shocked. I did not think that this was actually going to happen. I thought I was going to have like 200 pages left to read in April, but I don't. So I'm going to go and get on and finish this, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hey, so I have just finished Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. Also, my northern accent really came out then. I really love this book. I really fucking love this book. I did give it 3 stars, which would be contradictory to the almost glowing review that I'm about to give it. The writing in this is not perfect. The writing is far from perfect in technicality. As I've mentioned before, I really love Elliot's writing style, but it's not perfect, and I do think that that would annoy a lot of people. Normally, it would annoy me, but I just feel like everything else in this story really came together to make me love this. If I was rating this not using Corpile, I would have given this 4 stars, because I would still have noticed the writing and things like that. But the characters, like, I love Dietrich so much. I also love Zodia. I love Guinevere. This book reminded me a lot of the Queens of Innisleia, but with action, which is what I wanted from the Queens of Innisleia that it didn't give me. So we do have a very slow political plot in here. We start off kind of getting to know all of the characters, knowing what they want, what their feelings are, like what their main motivations are. By the time you get to the end of this, literally, like, the betrayals the betrayals had me shook. I don't know when the second book is coming out, because Elliot is self-published as well. It's literally whenever she feels like releasing it. I haven't seen any of her videos recently where she's talked about where she's up to with the second book, if she is currently up to anything with the second book, but I'm honestly desperate to get it. The other thing that I rated quite lowly on this is the plot, mainly because I was struggling. Like, I do really love the characters, but from this book alone, it is hard for me to make a judgment on whether the plot is well done, because I don't understand why some of the characters have done what they've done. I'm also not sure if some of them have actually done some of the things I think that they've done. So I feel like this is something that I would need to judge as a series, because I'm not sure whether there's lack of supporting evidence for what they're doing, or whether it's all going to become clear at the end kind of thing, you know what I mean? But this was super compelling. This is not dense at all. If you're scared of high fantasy, or you're scared of dense fantasy, and that's why you haven't picked this up, 100% do it. I really love the plot. I loved the dragons in here. Dragons are creatures that are really hard to do right in my eyes. I don't like talking dragons, and I don't like evil dragons, because I like dragons. I don't want them to be bad. But the way that Elliot did dragons in this, I absolutely loved. They do kind of talk, but it's like a psychic connection. It's not like a actual outward speaking thing. I will say that there were lots of points of high emotion in here. If the writing had focused more on those character relationships, then I think they would have been really impactful. But the characters were great. I loved the political machinations. I loved all of the plot twists that we had come in. Could not stop turning pages in this. It's only 6 p.m. I've been to work today, and I've read 130 pages and finished this book. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did see quite a few of Elliot's influences in here as well. I would say that the fiends in here and the auroras, especially on how they leave the body after death, were highly influenced by my favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy X, which it took me a little while to get the fiends, because fiends are something that are common in fantasy, but there is a kind of funeral scene in here, and I was like, oh my god, Final Fantasy. And it was only when I got near the end I read the word fiends, and I was like, Final Fantasy. I would also say I've only read one Brandon Sanderson book, but I would also say that based on how I've been feeling about this going through, that there is quite a lot of influence from Brandon Sanderson in here as well. But yeah, I loved this. It was different than I expected. It was far more compelling than I expected. Didn't expect to be as connected to the characters as I am. Like, none of them I would wholeheartedly say with my whole soul that I would die for, but there is a lot of grey morality in here. There are, automatically, when you read from a character's perspective, you expect them to be the good guys, so you never expect them to do something that goes against everything that you believed in them, and the characters like frequently did this in here. Is there a single character? I think there's one character I can think of, maybe 2, that didn't do anything bad. Everybody else was super morally great, and I definitely appreciated that. So yeah, 3 stars to this one. Enjoyment level 4 stars. On the technical side, not 100%, but I'm dying for the sequel to this, and I'm really glad that I read it. So now I'm in a little bit of a predicament because I'm in quite a big reading mood. I don't like to start a book directly after finishing a book anyway, but I can't read anything for the rest of the day because the Owl's Magical Read-a-thon is starting tomorrow, and I have to have read all of those books within the Magical Read-a-thon time frame. That being said, I don't even know what I'm starting next. My April TBR is so overwhelming. I don't know what to start. I don't have my notepad near me. I've moved it over there, but I think I'm going to take you over to the TBR cart so we can pick what I'm going to be reading next, because even though I can't start it now, I do have dinner in the oven at the minute, so I'll be watching an episode of Angel while I eat, and then I have to label the massive batch of candles I made on Sunday and send out whatever orders I can. I do typically go to bed quite late. I get in bed at like 11 p.m. midnight anyway, so probably by the time I've done everything I need to do and had a shower because it's hair washing day, it will be time to start my Magical Read-a-thon TBR. So instead of letting you know what I'm reading when I pick it up, we're gonna head over to my TBR cart. We're gonna see what the hell I'm reading, because I do have quite a few battle strategies in mind, but I'm not sure which one I want to go with. So those are all the books that I have to read, minus one ebook, which is Maybe Now by Colleen Hoover. These are currently, aside from this one, because I'm not sure where it goes, these are in the order that I rolled them in Bookopoly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to read these 7 to complete Bookopoly, but I think essential books that I have to read for the Owls include at least these 2. Normally, I would kick off the month straight away by reading Children of the Whales because it's a manga and it's short. That I'm listening to an audiobook, so I'd probably try and knock that out too. And I'm only reading 130 pages of this, which is the first book, so I'd probably try and get that out of the way. However, when I do that, I do tend to start flagging at the end of the month, so I'm thinking I need to treat this a little bit more like a marathon instead of a race. So instead of starting with this, and this, I think I'm going to read one of these per week, excluding this week, because there are 3 full weeks in April and 2 half weeks. So what I want to be doing this week, I think, is reading something in the middle of the road. So I think this is going to be fast paced, but it's kind of chunky. This is like a middle of the road book. This one is middle of the road. This one's like 300 pages. What to do. Even though this isn't on my core Bookopoly TBR, it is one that I need to read if I want to be a potioneer, and I do have to read and review this month. I think it's around 300 pages, so I think Fortuna Sworn may be the first book I start with, because I am really excited to read this as well, and you guys really want to know what I think of it. Okay, so my first book for the Owl's Magical Read-a-thon is going to be Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. This was sent to me by KJ Sutton to review for you guys. It is an adult dark fairy romance that I believe has graphic sexual content and a lot of swearing. The plot of this, as far as I know, follows a woman called Fortuna Sworn, who is some sort of magical creature. She is the last of her kind. She has a brother, but her brother has gone missing, and so she gets a job at a human bar, and while she's working there, she's kind of biding her time, waiting for somebody powerful to come along who can help her find her brother. And then one day, a very powerful fae comes into her bar. I think that there's some kind of bargain in them. This is a dark romance, so I don't think it's going to be like healthy sunshine and rainbows romance, but I like to read dark romance anyway. I'm very excited to read this one. Those of you guys who have read this keep telling me that it's really good, and it's a dark fairy romance, so I don't think there's too many ways it can go wrong. If I don't like the writing style, it could go wrong, but I have flicked through this and I've read just random lines, and I liked what I sampled. Off the top of my head, I think for the Magical Read-a-thon, this one fulfills the prompt for Care of Magical Creatures, which is to read a book that has a beaked creature on it, and there's a bird here. And what did I get for Bookopoly? It's like a late roll in Bookopoly. It was before sci-fi? No, it was after sci-fi. Fantasy romance. I think I chose this one to read a fantasy romance. It's so hard because, like, not only do I have 12 Bookopoly rolls to deal with this month, 7 of them I have to read, 5 of them are extra. But like, there's just so many things crossing over that I need to do, and it's confusing me a little bit, but I am very excited to get into this one. I need to be reading 148 or something like that pages per day to complete my TBR for April. We'll see how that goes, but I think this is a good place to start because it's not one that I think is super short or super fast paced, but it is one that I'm very excited to read, so I think it's going to be very compelling.
I guess you're back. Are you gonna tell me where you went? All the messages I sent with no reply. It's like that. You're just gonna walk into my room. I hate how you assume I'll take the pleasure and the pain, the sorrows and secrets to my grave.
Hey, so I am pretty much just about to go to bed. It is going on for 11 p.m. But guys, I'm like halfway through Fortuna Sworn. I love it. I love it. I knew I would. You knew I would. We all knew I would. I put on Twitter earlier today that this book is kind of like if Sookie Stackhouse wasn't a dumb bitch and if she entered into a, not necessarily a forced marriage, I would say, because there is a bargain, like she is willing. He offers her this marriage and she has the opportunity to say no. So it's not necessarily forced, but it is kind of like manipulation. So if Sookie Stackhouse wasn't a dumb bitch and entered into a marriage that she kind of didn't want to resand, but the resand that we see under the mountain or in the Court of Nightmares, honestly, I didn't even make it to page 40 before I started to swoon. Just give me a fae male, any fae male. That's all I need. I'm a basic bitch with basic tastes. Just any fae male. So I guess I should tell you a little bit about what this is actually about, aside from Sookie Stackhouse resand, you know? So in this book we follow Fortuna Sworn, and Fortuna Sworn is a nightmare. Now a nightmare is somebody that's kind of like a harbinger actually in The Beckoning Shadow. She can make you think that your fears are coming to life if she has contact with your skin. Now her kind has been hunted to extinction because of how powerful they are, and her brother, as far as she is aware, are the last ones alive. Now the way that things work in this world, like the supernatural aspects, this is a contemporary fantasy romance, so it is set in, is it Washington State? It mainly takes place in a fairy underground world, but it does start off in like modern day America. But the way that the paranormal aspects work is that everybody is descended from angels. I think vampires have been mentioned in here, but the main supernatural creatures I've encountered so far are werewolves or shifters, goblins, Fortuna, who is a nightmare, and the fae, and I think there's going to be something to do with the angels in this as well. So all of these creatures are descended from angels, and something happened. The angels all got cast down to earth, and each different type of paranormal creature is a descendant of one particular angel or a group of angels that have all either mutated or evolved in some way to create the different supernatural creatures. So Fortuna is a supernatural creature, and so is her little brother. Now this book actually starts off where Fortuna has been here's a video. Now this book starts off where Fortuna has been captured by some goblins and she is about to be sold off as a slave. While she's there, she meets a mysterious guy, doesn't know much about him, but he mysteriously gets her free. Fortuna heads home naturally after torturing the goblins, and she returns to work where she works at a human bar, and that is where she meets the mysterious guy again, and she finds out that he is an extremely powerful fairy male. She pretty much tells him to do one, but when she gets home she finds a mirror on her doorstep, and in her mirror she can see her brother, who has been missing for 2 years. She's naturally very suspicious of this, but the guy turns up again, the powerful fairy guy, and eventually says to her, I know where your brother is, I will take you to him so you can rescue him if you marry me. And Fortuna agrees, and they go to the fairy underworld. That's all we got so far. So yeah, I'm halfway through. I'm here. I'm sad that this book is really short. I feel like my main complaint about this book, my only complaint about this book when I finished, is how short it is. I really like Colith, who is the fairy male. It's like Sookie Stackhouse, so the main character Fortuna is kind of like Sookie Stackhouse, and then we have Colith, who's like under the mountain Reese. So when I say that, I mean he has this bad guy thing where he's like allowing things to happen that aren't good. He's also a little bit like Tamlin under the mountain actually. So things are happening that aren't good, but he has an end goal in mind. He has hope for the people of Fairy, or this fairy world. I don't know if it's actually called, oh, it's the Unseelie Court. So he has hope that in time things can change, and I believe that's the reason he wanted to marry Fortuna, although I'm not too sure on that at this point. So that's what I mean when he has Reese vibes. And the Seelie Court, or the Unseelie Court, is kind of like the fairy world in Margaret Rogerson's An Enchantment of Ravens, where the fairies are tricksters. They're all very different. They're not quite as like civilized and human-like as they are in Sarah J Maas, although some of them are, but there is a lot more fairy lore and stuff. There's iron and like fairies can't lie and stuff, which I mean it is present in ACOTAR, but it's a little more fairy-esque, I want to say, in Fortuna Sworn. I just came to say that I'm really loving this, to tell you what it was about. I really like Colif. I like Fortuna. She's doing some things that are annoying me just a tiny bit, but generally I can get behind her and I enjoy what's going on here. I was told going into this that there would be some swearing and graphic sexual content. We do have some sexual content in here, but as this is a kind of almost unwilling marriage, even though there is an attraction between them, nothing too smutty has gone on. It is definitely smut. There is definitely sex on the page. It is definitely described, but I don't think it's super graphic. It's not like super hardcore, and the swearing is kind of minimal. We do have dark topics in here though. There are themes of torture, slavery, sexual assault, kind of forced marriage. I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as a forced marriage, but it is like a unwilling kind of marriage. But I love it. I love it. I knew I would, but I'm happy that I do. I'm really happy that this is coming through for me, so I'm gonna go to bed. Probably can't finish this today because I have 160-ish pages left, 154 or something, but I'm going to see how far I can get, and I will probably be finishing this tomorrow. Hey, so it is Thursday, I think. I have no idea what day it is. I am just about to take my nails off, so I just wanted to come in, let you guys know that, so that if it all goes horribly wrong, I don't know, like, you guys can wish me luck or something. I've never taken acrylic nails off before. Normally I wait for them to snap or drop off, but my nails are kind of long underneath, so I want to see what I can preserve. I do have an at-home gel kit, so my plan is to get the nails off and put a gel polish over the top, well, not over the top, but like on my actual nail, to hopefully strengthen them a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. I'm on page 230 of Fortuna Sworn. Absolutely loving it. Every time I read a little bit more, I love it even more, so everything's going well with that. But I'm gonna go into the living room. I'm going to watch Big Hero 6, which I have been waiting to watch for over a week now. Try and get these off, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. I just finished Fortuna Sworn. I threw the book. I threw the book because of that last line. Like, I'm gonna ruin everything I've worked so hard for, and I'm gonna pick up the sequel. Fuck that ending. There's so many politics in that book, and the way that they're interwoven and the reveals at the end. I don't have a star rating for this yet because I need to go put it into my spreadsheet. I've literally just finished the last page. Still got one nail left on this hand. I did the entire hand at once. It's been 2 hours. Still one nail that is stubborn and not finished. And then another full hand. So I think I'm going to be reading quite a lot tonight. I think I'm going to be sat around trying to sort my nails out for quite a while tonight. I'm going to try and get the last of the acrylic off this nail. I'm going to go drench these in cuticle oil. They've still got like a tiny bit of acrylic on, but I've kind of done the best I can at this point. Then I'm going to enter my stuff into my spreadsheet, get you a rating. I will come back at some point with a full rating for Fortuna Sworn. But guys, I think I just have, oh fuck, I just put myself in the eye. I think I'm just gonna have to go straight into, I think it's called Restless Slumber, because I can't, God, that book is so fucking good. Honestly, would recommend. But like I said, I will bring you hopefully a more eloquent, I don't know. I'll tell you what I actually thought of the book at some point, but right now I'm gonna see if I can sort my nails out, get some food, sort my life out, and start Restless Slumber apparently, because I hate myself. It's the 2nd of April and I'm already fucking up the owls. Just another quick update. I am currently on page 62 of Restless Slumber. Really loving it so far. I'm just checking in to let you know that it is now 10:30 p.m. and I've just finished taking all of the acrylic off my nails. It has been 10 hours and now I have to go and do my gel coat polish. So yeah, it took me all day to get my acrylics off, but I would normally wait and just keep putting oil on them to strengthen them a bit and let them rest before I put my gel on. But these babies, they're longer than my natural nails have ever been, so if I don't put gel on them now, they are not going to last a day. So I have Netflix on. I'm gonna carry on my rewatch of Pretty Little Liars and finally finish doing my nails, and I hope I do it good because I do not want to have to start repairing these in a couple of days. Like, when this is on, I want it to last 2 weeks, otherwise I'm gonna be mad. So last night when I left you, I was having nail hell, literally. Like, it took me all day to do those nails. I did manage to finish them. However, the polish is already slightly chipping and I have a crack in this one where my nail keeps bending. So these are not going to last very long at all. I didn't think they would, but you know, your girl had to try. So I'm about to go and get in the bath soon, do a little bit of reading. Not that I need to, because I've done nothing but read the last 2 days in between everything else that I've been doing. But I do need to tell you my thoughts on Fortuna Sworn. Now that is going to be a little bit hard actually, because even though I only finished this yesterday, one, it feels like longer ago, and two, I'm currently on page 162 of Restless Slumber. So now these two are kind of like blurring together and I don't know what to tell you about this. That doesn't also apply to this, and I am going to finish this week as well. So then I'll have like two books that I'm telling you the same things about. First off, I remember where this ends. While I remember where this ends, let me tell you, that reveal, it shocked me, and I don't know why. It's kind of, I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I didn't know how complex the story would be. I didn't really know anything about this. I'm not very experienced reading self-published books to start off with, and I know in a lot of ways they're not too much different to traditionally published novels, but you know, I've never read anything from Kelsey Sutton up until her reaching out to me to send me these books. I did not know who Kelsey Sutton was. I had never read any of her books or seen any of her books. I'd never heard anybody talk about these books. So my point of reference on this series was literally non-existent. So I was kind of reading this unassuming, and when that final reveal came, I was shocked. One of the main themes in this, and one of the reasons that Fortuna is the way that she is that she doesn't trust fairies, and that is completely reasonable because fairies, you know, they're tricksters. They have all of these things like they can't lie and iron hurts them and stuff like that, which are not always true depending on what version of fairy book you read. Sometimes it is that the fae have told people they can't lie to make humans trust them, and sometimes they actually can't lie, so you never know which one you're gonna get. In this one, Fortuna has been burned by fae before and she is extremely distrustful of them, and that is pretty much the undertone of this entire novel and her relationship with most of the characters in here. She has been done dirty by fae. She has been done dirty by some of the fae in this book through the course of this novel, and the girl holds a grudge. You know, she's pretty stubborn and she does not forgive easily. With her being so mistrustful, when she begins to trust somebody, you trust them with her, and then when a reveal comes about this character you thought you knew, it's a little bit shocking. I loved this book. I'm 160 pages into this and I think I'm loving it more. It's a little bit hard to say. The first 100 or so pages of this I enjoyed, but I wasn't on love level. Like, I was very intrigued about what was going on, but since I got to like the, I want to say like the 200-ish page mark, maybe slightly before in this one, I have not stopped reading. All I want to do is read these books. I love the love interests in here because we actually have two, possibly three. We have two very attractive fae men in here, and we also have another man, and I don't want to say anything about him because he's not mentioned in the synopsis. He's present from pretty early on, so it wouldn't necessarily be a spoiler, but yeah, I don't really want to say anything about him. I'm just really interested though in his place in this series. I have a feeling that his complete like dynamic and what surrounds him is going to change, and that is going to cause a problem throughout the course of this series. But I do like the element of comparison that character creates. It's kind of like an expectation versus reality kind of situation. This character is everything that Fortuna wants, or everything she thinks that she wants, and that juxtapositioned with the other love interests in this book and the way that they are is very interesting. I very much like the contrast that is creating. I'm just gonna say it, of the three men in here, I am 100% hands down a Colith girl, and I know that you're supposed to be, you know, like he's the dark fae lord, the one that swoops in at the beginning and he's all mysterious with all of his allure. The sexual tension in here is unparalleled. Like, I would go as far, I don't want to say it, but this is some SJM shit. Like, this is like, I have not felt this invested in a romance between characters since I read SJM. Now that is like, for me, that is like god tier. So I'm gonna say it's not quite there, but it is very damn close. I just love the character of Colif. There are definitely some parallels to Sarah J Maas in here. Whether they are intentional or not, I cannot say, but the main plot in the first book does contain a series of 3 trials that are very reminiscent of the 3 trials that Feyre has to pass in A Court of Thorns and Roses. I do also see a lot of Rhysand in the character of Colif, but you know, that is just a character archetype that works. It's very much a Hades and Persephone dynamic, which, you know, A Court of Mist and Fury is a Hades and Persephone retelling, so I don't really think too much about that, because to me it is kind of just like the romanticized version of Hades. But honestly, I stan Colif. I stan Colif so hard. I do also really like Laurie, and I'm just really interested in those dynamics coming through. But honestly, guys, would highly recommend that you pick these up. I know a lot of you guys on Twitter have picked these up on my recommendation. Truly hope that you love them as much as I do. I've been stalking Kelsey Sutton actually to try and find out when the 3rd book, I think the 3rd book is called Deadly Dreams, is being released. And in the back of Restless Slumber actually it says winter 2020, and on Kelsey's Instagram in her bio it just says next book December 20. So I'm thinking I can have the 3rd book in December. But yeah, overall absolutely loving these. These are definitely a hit. 10 out of 10, would recommend. Very excited to get to the end of this. I am coming to you off the back of a very smutty scene, probably my favorite scene in the series so far. So I'm very excited to dive back in here. I have 300 pages left. Honestly, that is not enough. I need more. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get to the end of this. But yeah, the moral of this update is read Fortuna Sworn. It's really good, and I'm gonna go and get in the bath and read some more of Restless Slumber. Last night I got in the bath like I said I was going to, and I can't remember where I read it. I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday, but somewhere I read that something sad happens in Restless Slumber. So I knew that something was coming. I kind of know what chapter it is from, I think it must have been on Goodreads that I read it. But I got in the bath last night and I put in my Instagram story that I was reading this, and I tagged KJ Sutton in it, and she replied to my message and said, "Oh no, I'm about to make you cry in the bath, and the bath should be a happy place." So I'm scared of my book. I'm so scared. I've read a lot since I checked in with you guys. I'm on page 320. There are 435, holy hell, there are 435 pages in this book, so I have just over 100 pages left to go. I just read a line that said, "I kissed him like we were saying goodbye, as though we'd never meet again, and this was our last chance to taste each other." I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm hoping that whatever sad thing happens, I hope it's not the saddest thing that could possibly happen, but I don't know, so I'm a little bit on edge. Just thought that I would come and let you know. I'm probably gonna try and catch my reaction when I get around to the chapter where everything is going to go wrong, so you can look forward to that. I mean, I may not react, I'm not a book crier, but it depends. But last night I reinstalled The Sims and all of the expansion packs onto my computer. So when I woke up this morning, the first thing I did was create a sim and also a really hot Fae sim, and they've just moved in together. So I'm hooked on The Sims as well, so I've decided that I'm just gonna have a lazy day. My wicks still haven't arrived. If you have ordered candles from me, thank you for a start, because I have like the support from you guys over this last week has been unreal, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Royal Mail is a little bit slow now. The only thing that's affecting me with the COVID-19 lockdown is that Royal Mail is quite slow, so nothing's arriving when it should, which means that my stock is a little bit slower getting to me, and my parcels going out are taking a little bit longer to arrive. So I ordered wicks. I had wicks and everything was fine. I knew I needed them, so I ordered them last weekend, but I wildly underestimated how many I would need. So I have ordered 3 sets now from 3 different places, hoping that one of them gets to me soon, because I do really need to crack on with orders, because I have quite a lot outstanding. But I anticipated I would have a busy day today with filming, editing and making candles, but as my wicks haven't arrived, I have decided that I'm just going to read and play The Sims. And I filmed an unhaul because I was going to do one a little bit later in the month, but I thought while I want a chill day, I thought I may as well do the unhaul now because it's a quick, easy video to do so that I can get on with finishing this book. I'm definitely going to finish this today. And playing The Sims. So currently going on, we have the magical readathon, 24-hour readathon that started at 2 p.m. while I'm having a chill day, and I know my Wix won't arrive tomorrow because it's the weekend. I'm going to participate, and there is also the Basically Brit 24-hour readathon hosted by Brit from Basically Brit that is starting at midnight tonight, so I'm going to participate in that as well, which makes 34 hours in a readathon. I am going to alternate between reading and playing The Sims and also editing, because I do need to edit most of this vlog tomorrow as well. I was also supposed to film more than one video today, but I don't want to, so I'll sort out the video that I've done today. I'll edit my vlog tomorrow, and then I don't think I have to go into the office on Monday, so I will film and edit my other video then, and also hopefully my Wix will arrive. So I'm just taking this weekend to read as much as possible, starting with finishing this book that's going to break my heart. I don't really know where to go after this book with my TBR because it's going to leave me in a place that I don't want to be, but we will deal with that when we come to it. I'm gonna go read a couple more chapters of this and continue on with my semi-relaxing day. Okay guys, I think it's time and I'm scared. So I have finished Restless Slumber. I finished it a couple of hours ago now. I FaceTimed Ashley because I was shook by that ending, and Ashley is one of those people who doesn't mind spoilers, so I just FaceTimed her. I was like, this happened and I need to talk about it right now. The ending of this book is intense. I really like the direction that this series is going, as far as I'm aware it's going. There's a big event that I'm not going to tell you any spoilers, but there is a huge event in here, and then it's a catalyst for a whole ton of other stuff that happens at the end of this. I gave this book 5 stars. I really fucking loved it. I do definitely think that the characters are really what sells this book. I absolutely love all of them, actually. I actually really love Fortuna. She has some big Taurus energy. Like, I would put my money on her being a Taurus because she's loyal, she's stubborn, she stands up for people who are in need, people who are struggling. She always looks after the underdog in any situation, and I definitely really like that about her. I really liked her stubbornness. There are times throughout this book where Fortuna just says the same thing over and over again. It's like, oh, I can't do this because this thing happened to me, and I can't do this because this thing happened to me. And I like that she addresses it and says that she sounds like a broken record at one point, and she's also challenged by another character. And as a Taurus, I can really relate to that, on having a mindset that you will not do something, so then even if things change, I just immediately don't want to go back because I already said that I would do something, and my word is pretty much law. Like, if I give you my word, it's happening. So I really love Fortuna. I'm so in love with Colith. Colith is one of my new favorite Fae characters in any book I've ever read. I also really like Laurie. Ollie, I like him. I like what he represents as well. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with him going forward, because we left his storyline or his character arc in a really strange place where it could be the end for his story arc, but I really don't believe it is. I definitely think he's going to come into play at some point. I am going to give trigger warnings for this book. I believe I said when I was talking about Fortuna Sworn that yes, it does contain certain elements, but it's not super dark. The ending of this book is incredibly dark. Throughout this entire thing, we have trigger warnings for things like torture, domestic abuse. If you actually go on the Goodreads page for the books in this series, Kelsey has put the trigger warnings in the synopsis, so they are all there if you need them. But there is a big trigger warning for sexual assault in this book. The end of this book, guys, I don't think it will be for everyone. I read some 1-star reviews earlier and I read some 5-star reviews as well. I definitely see that the end of this is not for everyone. I really liked it. I really loved the darkness of this. There are quite a few parallels to the A Court of Thorns and Roses series in these books. I did mention it with Fortuna Sworn. I think that when you're reading this, you will either go one of two ways on that. You could either see it as being a little bit too close to A Court of Thorns and Roses in some aspects, but for me, what this book is, and the reason why I love these books, the 2 books that I've read, is because these take all of the things that I love about A Court of Thorns and Roses and put them into this series, which is a story in itself. There are parallels in the characters, but Fortuna is her own character. I would say that this story melds aspects of paranormal romance and urban fantasy, things like the Sookie Stackhouse series and the Jim Butcher series, and mixes it with high fantasy romance like Agatar. And I just really loved that blend of the real world and also the fairy court and just the fairy lore mixed with these more modern aspects. I also liked the juxtaposition of the characters' lives at court and their lives in the human world. In these books, we see the characters and how they interact with all of the political elements of being in court, and we also see them living like humans in the real world. I will say that the setting of this one is mostly in the human world, so I liked the setting of this one a little bit less because I really enjoy the Unseelie Court aspects more because there's just so much trickery and treachery, and I do enjoy high fantasy or books set in fantasy worlds a lot more than I enjoy contemporary romance. But still, like, I would say it's the romance elements in this book and the character elements that made me really love it. The plot is good. I would say there were a few bits that didn't quite fit, or there was maybe more elements than there needed to be. The main plot of this one does involve werewolves, and we do also have a siren in here as well. Definitely enjoyed the addition of those to this because I don't think I was aware that sirens existed in this world up until this point. And I also really loved the growth of Fortuna's character, the way her powers are manifesting, and I really love her, you know, just I really resonate with her and her relationship with Colith. Like, if you guys like Hate to Love, I really think that you will like the dynamics in here. I cannot say for sure because I have not read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black because I don't really like Holly Black's writing style, so I'm not really interested in reading anything more from her. But I think that the relationship dynamics in this and the fact that the Unseelie Court is present a lot in this, I think if you like Cruel Prince and you want a more adult version, then I do also think that you may like this series. So I'm really happy that I finished this. I'm also really sad. I think the 3rd book is coming out in December. I don't know what I'm going to do until then, guys. Like, I need the rest of this series. This is a 6-book series. There's only 2 books released, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I'm also really scared for the 3rd book though, because there are a lot of things that happened at the end of this that are going to have repercussions and consequences. I would say a great deal of them in the coming book especially, but probably resonating throughout the entire series. I hope some of it salvages my ravaged heart right now. I'm actually really nervous about this book and this series as well because I did tweet about it, as I mentioned the other day, and a lot of you guys have picked this up or bought this based on my tweet, what I said about it, and it really makes me nervous whenever I recommend a book and you guys pick it up, like completely trusting me and my opinion and my review on whether you should pick a book up. I just get really nervous about it because my taste in books is quite particular, you know, like I like really angsty romance, and there's definitely a lot of angst in here. I also like slightly problematic romances. I like toxic relationships, and those are a lot of things that a lot of people just really hate to read about, and a lot of people are really particular as well. Like, I'm particular about it, so you can like a toxic relationship or something in one book because it's done a certain way, but then you can read it in something else and it just completely rubs you the wrong way. So like, I completely get it. But yeah, when people are buying books on my recommendation and reading them immediately or buying them immediately because of something I said, I get really nervous about it. So if you haven't picked this series up on my recommendation, I really hope you love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. I hope it destroys your soul in the best way, not because I want you to suffer, because that is always the mark of a good book, when you're really sad about it and you want to die. So enough on Restless Slumber. Thank you so much to Kelsey for sending this my way. You have honestly made my year right now. I cannot believe how much I love this, and I definitely would not have picked it up if Kelsey hadn't reached out to me. So this doesn't actually fit anything on the Elle's Magical Read-a-thon. I could use it for Transfiguration. I could also use it for History of Magic. However, the books that I've selected for that are in my mandatory Bookopoly TBR, and this book does not fit for anything that I have the extra books in for, if that makes sense. If you watch Bookopoly, you'll know what I mean. So that was just an extra book I read this month. So I have 11 more books I need to read in April. Great, you know, I made this month's reading a lot harder for myself at the first hurdle. So I didn't know what to pick up next because I feel like I might be heading into a reading slump. I have some fantasy romance on my TBR, but I don't want to head into more fantasy romance right now because I will just be comparing it and my heart hurts for the characters in Fortuna Sworn. So I decided that, seeing as the rest of the books that I picked up in this vlog have been self-published books, which was completely accidental, I am going to pick up the other self-published book I have on my TBR, which is Battleground by Rachel Churcher. This is a young adult dystopian. I have it on my Owl's TBR for divination, and it is on my Bookopoly TBR to read a dystopian. This is a book that was sent to me unsolicited, and to be quite honest, I really don't know how I'm going to feel about this. This is a young adult dystopian that takes place in the United Kingdom after Brexit and after Scottish independence. So my main issue with it is that I don't like to read things that are a little bit too close to home. The scariest things for me, like the scariest movies, are things like The Day After Tomorrow, which are vaguely realistic, like that could actually happen, climate change, etc. So I really don't know how I'm going to feel about this, because I did read How I Live Now by Meg Rosoff, and that was a little bit too close to home for me, and as a result I don't particularly like that book. I think it was a good book, but I just don't like it because of how it made me feel. So I'll be giving this one a try. I do hope I enjoy it, and I do hope that it doesn't make me feel like shit. So I am going to go to bed now because it is 1 AM. I'm going to take my makeup off, get in bed, and see if I can make a little bit of progress in this before I go to sleep. Hey, so it is like 30 minutes since I last updated you, but we've had a little bit of a change of plan. I read 10 pages of this. The first paragraph of this was about these kids that have been conscripted into the army to protect people like teachers and doctors who want to go to work, and that was a little bit too close to home with what's going on, you know, with like having key workers at the minute. And as well as that, the writing is very simplistic. It's like, he does this and she does this, and we went here, and then this guy came, and then he said this, and then we went there. I'm just gonna DNF it right now. I'm just gonna do it. I don't normally do this. I don't normally DNF books, but I was a little bit trepidatious about going into this one to start off with, and I don't even like the writing. So sadly, this is going to be a DNF. I'll add it to my unhaul pile, which means that I'm not actually starting that right now. So I've decided instead that I'll be picking up The Dead House by Dawn Kurtagich. This one is a young adult horror or thriller. I have it on my Bookopoly TBR to read a thriller, and it also fulfills the prompt for Ancient Runes for the Owl's Magical Read-a-thon to read a book that has a heart on the cover. All I know about this one is that it is about a high school that burned down 20 years prior to the start of this novel. I believe it's quite fast paced. The pages kind of deteriorate as you go through, and it's told mainly in case files. This one was gifted to me by Ashley, so thank you so much, Ashley, for this, and she thinks I'm gonna like it. So this is the one that we're going with. I'm going from fantasy romance to horror. That should be enough, hopefully, to keep me out of a slump. And because I no longer have a book for divinations because I'm DNFing this one, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get through the majority of my TBR, and then in one of my vlogs we will do a Bookopoly roll, because this was actually the first Bookopoly roll. This was one of my mandatory Bookopoly books. So we will do a Bookopoly roll, we will see what it lands on, and then I will do like I did with this. I'll get all of the books of that genre or category off my shelves, or if it's something like adult fantasy, I'm not getting all of them down, but we'll do a random number generator to see what I will actually be reading for divination. So that being said, I'm gonna go get back in bed and hopefully have better luck with The Dead House. Hey, so it is 1 AM. I just had the catch-up book club live show for Assassin's Apprentice, which was a really great time. It was really good to be reunited with my catch-up book club bays again, and also we had the new edition of Cass from What Cass Read, and also Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction, so that was a really good time. Love the catch-up book club live shows. I love really deep diving into adult fantasy. And after that I stayed in the chat with Ashley and Cody, and Gavin joined us, and we had a 3-hour chat, which was it was a lot. I'm tired now. It's 1 AM. So I am here now to wrap up this vlog, but first I have to tell you about The Dead House by Dawn Kurtagich. So I am 170 pages into this. It is super fast paced. I haven't spent a lot of time reading this at all. It is told completely in case files like I thought it may be. There are interview transcripts, there's diary entries, and there are also video footage transcripts in here. So it's super fast paced and the chapters are really short, which meant that I could pick it up in between doing stuff today. I have spent most of the day editing, to be fair, but I have been reading little bits of this in between. So in the plot of this, I'm really intrigued actually about one particular aspect of this, and it's something so particular that I don't even know if it's going to be relevant. On the synopsis of this book, it says that 25 years ago a school burned down, and for 2 decades they've been wondering about what happened in this thing that's called the Johnson incident, and it says until now nobody knew what was going on. Now the thing that I'm really interested about in this is it's so pedantic, but on the back it says 25 years ago the high school burned down, 3 people died and 20 were injured. This book is actually set in 2004. The incident actually happened in 2005, but throughout this book we are following a particular character, which I will get into in a minute, in the time up to the incident. So it's like 6 months, I think, before the incident and a little bit of directly afterwards. Now if the incident happened in 2005, this means that this book is written from the year 2030. The book was published in 2015, so I for some reason have become really fixated on the fact that this book is written from the future, and I want to know if there's any significance there, because if not, why not just make the years ago that it happened less, or set it in 1995? So that's just something I'm really confused about. But the predominant storyline of this is that we follow Caitlin. Now Caitlin is also Carly, and oh god, this is kind of hard to describe even though it's kind of a simple plot. Caitlin and Carly share a body. Something happened to their parents a few years ago. Their parents died and they ended up in a psychiatric hospital and now also go to this boarding school. Now Caitlin and Carly are the same person. In the hospital they did get a psychiatric doctor who has diagnosed them with dissociative identity disorder. The doctor believes that because of the traumatic accident that killed Caitlin and Carly's parents, their personalities have split into 2 as a coping mechanism. However, they are both adamant that Caitlin and Carly both existed before the accident and have existed all of their lives. So the way that their personalities are split is that during sunlight hours Carly is around, and during the nighttime hours Caitlin is around, and they literally never sleep. Now because Caitlin is sequestered to the dark hours, she doesn't have much of a life and she's very lonely, and this mainly follows Caitlin. Now the reason that these pages are so deteriorated is because Caitlin's diary has been found in the ashes of this burned down school, and the people investigating the fire have put together this case study of what they believe happened. So the real mystery of this book is Caitlin real? Does Carly have dissociative identity disorder, or is there something else going on? Because Carly actually has a friend who practices some spiritual magic. I would say it's similar to Wicca. I believe it's Scottish. Is it called Marla maybe? I may be wrong on that detail, but Carly's friend believes that they are 2 souls inhabiting a body, and as this book is going on, something is happening to Caitlin. She is seeing another being, whether it's a figment of her imagination, whether it's a demon, whether it's a ghost, I have absolutely no idea, but this is pretty much the story of what actually happened. Now the writing style in this is okay. I'm not super into the writing style. It's kind of John Greeny in some parts with the Manic Pixie Dream Girls, like there is a boy in here who's a Manic Pixie Dream boy and it's fresh out of a John Green novel, but I am definitely enjoying the plot of this, which pretty much I'm guessing is going to be the main hook with this one. I'm not overly into this so far, but it is a fast read. I am reasonably curious about what's going on. I feel like the thing with me and this book is that I think it's going to have an ambiguous ending. By the time I get to the end, I still don't think I'm going to be sure whether any of these things actually happened, whether Caitlin is real, or whether it is dissociative identity disorder. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this at the end of it, but I'm enjoying the ride so far. Obviously, as you can imagine, this probably does not depict mental health in the best light. I do not have dissociative identity disorder, so I cannot say for certain, but it is something that is definitely used as a plot device to cast uncertainty about whether Caitlin is real or whether she is a product of Carly's mental health. So that's where I'm at with this. Like I said, enjoying it, not too much to say. This is super fast paced, so I think I may finish it tomorrow, although if my Wix finally arrive tomorrow, I am going to be super busy, so I guess we'll see what happens. But that is about it for this week's vlog, the first not even full week of the Owl's Magical Read-a-thon, and I have been editing this vlog today. I have edited Monday through Thursday, and I still have 1 hour and 1 minute of unedited footage to edit. Yeah, this one's going to be a long one, but I do hope you've enjoyed it if you've made it this far. If you have, have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.